If I was broke and I wanted to lose 10 kilos, here is exactly what I would do. Hello, my name is Jasmine Templin. I'm an online coach, personal trainer, accredited sports nutritionist, and bikini competitor pro. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you exactly what I would do if I wanted to lose 10 kilos and if I had no money and I wanted to get from point A to B. So let's get straight into the video. So the first thing I would do is find out what my weight, height, and age is, and I would put that into a TDEE calculator to work out what my maintenance calories is. So if we're looking at losing body fat, we want to ensure that we're in a deficit. So 500 calories below your maintenance will well and truly put you in a deficit. You can start a little bit lower than that, but if you want to well and truly put yourself in a deficit and you feel ready for it, 500 calories of a deficit below your maintenance is where you want to be sitting. From there, I would be putting those calories into the MyFitnessPal app. You do not need the premium or the paid version. I've had it a few times in the past, but I just use the free version even now. You don't need it, I promise. You don't even necessarily need to set the totals as long as you look at what calories in the totals tab. You don't need to set your goals to be exactly that, if that makes sense. So you don't need the premium version. You can just use the free version. That's absolutely perfect. Or any other macro tracking app out there will do the job as well. So I would put those deficit calories into the MyFitnessPal app, and then I would simply track everything I eat. Now you want to make sure that when you are tracking, you are using accurate entries. So always using the barcode to scan your foods. And if it doesn't have a barcode, you want to be using the nut tab option. So when you search it up, search nut tab. So NUTTAB if it doesn't have a barcode. So for example, bananas, nut tab. That is going to be the most accurate database in the app, especially if you're in Australia. Otherwise, USDA is the US version. So far, you have your deficit calories and you have your MyFitnessPal app and logging all of your foods on there consistently, 7 days a week. Make sure that you are tracking accurately, because it will make such a big difference to your weekly average. In terms of the actual foods that I would choose if I had no money whatsoever, you want to be picking, of course, those easy access foods that are going to be cheap and affordable, of course. So even if it isn't the most nutrient dense and great quality worth of foods, for now that is okay. Because hopefully there's a time and place where you'll be able to prioritize fresh whole foods, but for now, frozen veggies, frozen fruits are a fantastic option, as well as rice, pastas. You can even do the 2-minute noodles as well, any kind of ramen, tins tuna, tins salmon. There are so many cheap ways and affordable ways where you can get in all of your proteins, all of your carbs, all of your fats. Whilst it might not always be the best option from a whole foods perspective, from a fat loss standpoint, that's going to be well and truly enough, especially if it's for a period of time where you're not necessarily eating as healthy. That is okay. Remember, when we are eating food and our body's breaking it down, it's not thinking is this healthy or is this unhealthy. It's just breaking down the protein, carbs, and fats, aka those overall calories. So if we're eating it in a deficit, even if we're technically not eating as healthy, we're still going to lose body fat. So yes, whole foods are super important, absolutely. However, we also want to understand that the goal is obviously to get to a point where one day we can afford those more healthier type foods and whole foods. But for now, frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, tins tuna, heck, I even have those now, are still fantastic options. You can easily eat healthy and lose body fat on a budget. Because you want to lose 10 kilos does not mean you need to go out and eat all different foods and overcomplicate it and get superfoods and these goji berries. Quite often, those are really high calorie foods. More times than not, all these like superfoods are actually making you gain weight because they're making you eat in a calorie surplus. So that's right, probably would not necessarily go for nuts as an option just because they are more calorie dense. They have more calories per gram than carbs and protein does, because there's 9 calories per gram in fat, 4 calories per gram in protein and carbs. So we would be wanting to pick more fat friendly foods to accommodate whilst we are in the deficit. Once again, fat loss is something that we do follow for a small period of time. We do not want to be in a deficit year round. Especially if we want to lose something like 10 kilos, which is pretty significant. We want to get in, get it done within a reasonable and sustainable amount of time so we can get out and bring your calories back up to that maintenance. The next thing I would do is follow coaches and personal trainers on Instagram in particular. You could even check out their podcast. However, I would definitely be following their Instagram. Shameless plug, go follow me on Instagram at Jasmine Templin Fitness. Team Absolute Athlete, at Jasmine Templin Fitness on Instagram, and I share so many tips. If you scroll down, I've got years worth of content. I do have a podcast where I share a lot of information, so do go check me out, and other coaches out there as well. I know a lot of PTs put a lot of free education out there online nowadays that I never even had access to when I was getting started in the fitness world. So That is what I would do, because the amount of information that is out there, even the information that I have out there, I have a whole free series about nutrition, training, and mindset when it comes to achieving your fitness goals, which I'll link down below as well for you if you want to go check that out. The next thing I would do is track my weight every single day and adjust my calories accordingly, because ultimately your body will adapt to those calories over time. Those initial calories of that 500 calorie deficit that you had worked out, your body is going to adapt to that over time. So we want to track those weigh-ins over an extended period of time, and generally no 1 week isn't going to be long enough. So track your weight for say 4 weeks or so, see how you're trending after you've genuinely been consistent, and then you can adjust your calories from there. If in doubt, only do a small 50 calorie drop, okay? Sometimes that is all that you need. And sometimes you don't even necessarily need to drop your calories. Sometimes it can just be holding it for longer. Sometimes it can just be a slight increase in your step goal. The more things that we can track, the better. So I like to tell my clients either weigh yourself not at all or at least 4 times per week, ideally daily if you feel comfortable. Of course, if weighing yourself is a little bit triggering for you, I recommend not weighing yourself and just go by progress photos. However, it is just more data at the end of the day for us to collect. So if you do feel comfortable doing it, I would really recommend just getting in the habit of doing it dailies and logging it on your MyFitnessPal app, or if you have the courage, logging it into your Trainerize Fitness app so you can see and track that data over time, because no matter what, fat loss and weight loss is never going to be linear. It is going to trend up, trend down, trend up, trend down. Even yesterday I was 1.2 kilos up, today I was back down. And that's myself already being quite a small person. That's pretty significant from a day-to-day basis when nothing has changed and I still hit my calorie basis. Great thing about weighing yourself over time is that you'll be able to see how you trend, because quite often if you only weigh yourself once per week and it's a high weigh-in day, you're going to be feeling pretty damn defeated. And as well, even if you weigh yourself on a low weigh-in day, yeah, that might make you feel good, but it still might not be an accurate representation in terms of how you're trending as a whole. Can't stress enough, if you feel comfortable to weigh yourself every single day so you can actually see how you are trending over time. The next thing I would do is looking at adding in any kind of cardio. The longer that you can hold off from doing cardio, the better. We only want to use it as a tool when we don't necessarily want to drop our food. So don't go too quick with this. I do highly recommend that you are sticking to weight training as your primary source of training, provided you enjoy it, of course, and then we can slowly add in that cardio as we feel up for it. This can look like just increasing your step goal, even if it's by 1,000. That will add up a lot over your weekly basis. It can look like adding in a short HIIT session. It can look like doing a extended steady states on the Sandmaster. There are so many different variations of cardio. You could go do a group class even. You could go do a different sport or hobby. It can be absolutely anything at all. So choose something that you enjoy and that you can stick to. Once again, remember this is something that we only want to be doing for a short period of time to get you from point A to B. Adding in that cardio at some point, but only if it's necessary. If you are dropping and responding really well, there is no need to add in that cardio. The next thing that I would do is incorporate diet breaks and refeed days. Diet breaks and refeeds are a period of an extended time where we actually like to increase your calories to help offset any potential metabolic adaptation that may occur. Now, ultimately, it is more from a psychological standpoint to be able to feel quite refreshed in that dieting phase to allow you to continue to push further, not necessarily even from that metabolism standpoint. That is important to take in consideration. But can ultimately help, and it will ensure that you can stick to that fat loss phase in a long term. So ultimately, even though it is almost a foot off the pedal a little bit and one step back, it is 2 steps forward. And I don't even like to think of it as a step back. It's just a step maintenance to propel you even further, if that makes sense. So I would definitely recommend incorporating these diet breaks and refeeds as you are starting to feel those dieting symptoms. You probably still don't need them for a little while into your fat loss phase, but maybe around halfway, to say you were doing, say, a 20-week fat loss phase and you're averaging half a kilo a week, then maybe at that 10-week point, give yourself 7 days at a maintenance calorie, so increase your calories up by another 500, run that for a full week. That's okay if your weight spikes up. For every extra gram of carb we eat, we hold 3 to 5 grams of water, and then we can continue pulling our calories back down and dieting further. Ultimately, you just want to keep tracking your data, keep tracking your progress, and see how you trend over time and make those necessary adjustments as needed. Try not to overcomplicate it. If anyone needs a hand, please DM me, and I do offer coaching. Anything that I want you to remember is that we always want to try and diet you on as high of calories as we can possibly get away with. That is how we are going to make that fat loss phase as sustainable as possible and as enjoyable as possible, because the last thing that we want to do is diet you too hard and then you kick yourself in the foot in terms of your metabolism, and then you're just in this worst point anyway where you just want to binge and go eat like everything crazy after the fat loss phase. So nice and slow and steady genuinely does win the race when it comes to a fat loss standpoint, because yes, initially if you went hard and aggressive at first, yeah, you might get there quicker, but you know what? You're going to gain that weight back a lot quicker as well. So we want to make sure that we're taking our time, run those diet breaks, and quite often it's going to have to be a lot slower than what you feel comfortable with. We'll just be continuing to rinse, repeat this process again and again until you are at your goal, and then from there, then we start reverse dieting your calories back up with the goal of keeping you as lean as possible so we can build your calories as high as possible, keep your weight training so you are in the most optimal position to be able to gain muscle. And we go through those cut and build phases, and that is what it's all about when it comes to improving your body composition. So there you have it. I've just given you the complete layout when it comes to losing 10 kilos of body fat. I hope this video has been helpful. Be sure to go follow me on Instagram at Jasmine Templin Fitness. Please don't forget to subscribe because I will be giving you weekly videos with content exactly like this. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!